Hello, Martians. How are you today? And seeing as this is take two, I'm not going to go through all the explanation of Con the Fruiterer, but apparently I make a terrible Italian grocer.
Yes, you don't even do a very good accent.
I'm dropping the Martians. How are you today? Because this is just not working apparently. So, anyway, so today we are looking at 1984, and the reason why we are looking at 1984, although we will also have a quick look at Ratchet and Clank the movie because I got to watch it. Wow, I got to watch part of it last night. I fell asleep, but anyway, that's what happens when you're really, really tired because you're doing a really, really lot. Anyway, I did get to finish Ratchet and Clank the movie, so I will have my spit about Ratchet and Clank the movie at a particular industry when I'm done. But first we'll talk about 1984. Now, the reason why we're talking 1984 is because there have been a number of instances recently where, say, the Professor Jordan Peterson in Canada and others in Australia even have kind of made this link to this Orwellian movement that's trying to control freedom of speech. And by using laws and all that kind of stuff, which, making that kind of connection between freedom of speech and 1984, I think that's a bit of a stretch. So, but anyway, me being a rather literalist Martian, as I am, I decided, seeing as we were doing politics, we would take Jordan at his word and actually go and watch 1984 because that's pretty much what he said. Go and read the book. Wow, we're not reading the book, but we're actually watching the movie, which, by the way, I think the movie does a pretty good job of making it pretty clear what the book is all about anyway. And we thought we'd take him up on his word.
And I get cookies because I watched both versions of the movie.
She gets special cookies because she watched the black and white one as well. Now, so the case that's been made is that we are entering into that world. So is this likely? Hell no. Sorry, Jordan, on this one. I have to say, intellectually, there's just no planet on which I can agree with what you're saying, that we are heading into this Orwellian world. For a start, we are talking a totalitarian government. We are talking a totalitarian government that creates its own opposition in order to create a hate figure for the rest of the community that they're supposedly running. When that doesn't work, they invent a war and have a whole ministry devoted to writing articles about said war, etc., and maintaining the propaganda about this war, such that they can even change the enemy midway and say, you know what, we were fighting East Asia, but you know what, or Eurasia, now we're going to be fighting East Asia. But we've always been fighting East Asia. We were never fighting Eurasia. Eurasia are our friends. We love them. So that's a thing.
Yeah.
And when that doesn't work, they have torture and or reconditioning centers just to finish the job. So, as much as I find some of the things that the more extreme ends of the social justice movement are to be disagreeable.
Would North Korea be anything close to 1984?
That's probably as close as you're going to get. Well, we did talk about it. We talked about China. We talked about Russia. North Korea would kind of fit into those sorts of places. I think North Korea would definitely fit under the category of 1984. And at last check, as much as I find Donald Trump objectionable, as much as I don't necessarily agree with our political leadership on many things, I'm just not equating them to North Korea. For a start, we have real internet. What they have for internet is absolutely a joke. So at least we get real internet. Anyway, bottom line, look, we reviewed it at length. You can see our review at length on the podcast if you wish. But the bottom line is that I just cannot possibly agree with Jordan's analogy that what you're seeing in these worlds. For a start, when it comes down to it, Jordan has options himself in terms of how he approaches all of these things. And while I totally take his position as a position of a principled man, and I don't necessarily even totally disagree with some of the things that he's got to say, I'm just not equating that particular thing, that we are moving into this Orwellian society. No, we are not. While I am sure that there is a certain political persuasion that certainly wants to legislate its way into existence. We're not. Now, there are some things that do concern me that were popping up in 1984 that I will quickly cover. So first of all, deletion of knowledge on political grounds or other grounds. The way in which universities have become places where knowledge is not just assessed, disagreed over, discussed, but more and more knowledge, if it's from the wrong person or the wrong political standpoint, that knowledge is now deleted, and up to and including sometimes, there's arguments against the scientific method being too masculine. I mean, these are just those sorts of things. You know what? Yes, that is totally Orwellian in its approach, and frankly, that should be fought at every turn, because the destruction of knowledge is not very helpful. So that's one thing. The constant reconditioning of words such as racism, sexism, and transphobia, all these words, to include a whole bunch of definitions that have never been either adopted by the community nor scrutinized by the community. They've just been co-opted and now put out there, and so they can be used as a weapon, so that if somebody says something that they find disagreeable, you can slap that word on them as a way of essentially saying, well, whatever you say is irrelevant because you are obviously a racist, transphobe, whatever, and given the fact that I'm a white man, I'm probably all of those things. Even though I raised 3 daughters all by myself, don't get points for that. Look, frankly, that is not a terribly healthy addition to the discussion or to debate or to any kind of society. So look, bottom line is, when it comes to the social justice movements, I get what they're trying to achieve. I disagree with their methods, and I certainly don't think their methods are going to deliver what they think they're going to achieve, and that if those people who they are supposedly representing take a reasonably close look, they might find that they're not going to achieve everything that they're hoping to get. But you know what? There is a process out there, people, that always does work. It's called negotiation. If you want something, you can always negotiate with society. And there is another process out there that works equally well. It's called education. I'm a great believer in negotiation. I am a great believer in education. But I am not a believer that we are heading anytime soon into a 1984 Western world. Unless we import North Korea. Just saying.
Let's not. Please no.
No, I'm not getting a good vibe from this. I'm just saying, look, there are certain cultural cred, I think, that comes from North Korea. Just saying. There are people who see a certain cultural cred, but I'm just not wanting it. I just don't like the uniforms. They chafe. Anyway, that's by the by. So on to our other point for the day, talking about Ratchet and Clank, the movie. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Look, it probably lacked a couple of big action pieces that really would have kind of given it a bit of zing. But in terms of games through to movie conversions, it's probably as good as we've had so far. And I see it as being a very positive step on the right direction, because the things that they've done with the Ratchet and Clank movie is they've introduced a much more cohesive storyline. Okay. It certainly could do with a little bit of zing, but it certainly is very coherent, and it basically works. It hits all the right movie beats, and it succeeds at where most games fail, which is it feels like it's a movie, not a cut-up game.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is an achievement all of its own. My spit is basically at those whiny bitches at times in the games industry who...
They want movies, and yet they tear down almost everything that's put out.
Well, look, I think that the games industry... I saw Angry Joe. I saw a bunch of reviews on this, and essentially they're going, well, the game that they put out that came with the movie, it was better because, you had all this extra gameplay, and you got all the cutscenes from the movies in the game, and all this kind of stuff. I'm sitting here going, look, not everybody is going to play the game.
Nah.
The movie gives the wider world the opportunity to get into that particular genre, and frankly, we should give them the opportunity to get into that genre. We shouldn't.
Because it's a good story.
Well, exactly. Ratchet and Clank is a fun world. I have enjoyed the hell out of every Ratchet and Clank game I've played. I've played most of them. I haven't played all of them because some of them just...
Some of the multiplayer ones are
Yeah,
a
that's
bit,
right. Exactly. I'm just not a big fan of the multiplayer. All the single player ones, absolutely love the hell out of them. I am a huge Ratchet and Clank fan. Best PlayStation game that I can think of as a PlayStation only platform. So you know what? I loved the hell out of Ratchet and Clank. I loved the hell out of the movie. I thought it did a pretty good job. I think the game industry and the game critics' lack of support for this movie is absolutely selfish. And frankly, look, you know what? If the worst thing that can happen is that the makers of the first movie then don't learn the lessons from the first movie and build on it to deliver a much bigger and better second movie. If this is the end of the movie project, then that is a bigger crime than this movie will ever be. So,
and it means we can already expect what's going to happen to the Assassin's Creed movie.
Well,
it's going to get torn down by the games guys as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, if it's not exactly what they want, and that's.
It's not possible because you're supposed to be introducing this to a wider audience and they're not going to know all this stuff.
I made the point. Movies are different. Games are much longer. They have many more options to be able to go exploring down rabbit holes than movies ever will. By and large, I think Ratchet and Clank got it right. I'm very, very happy with the Ratchet and Clank movie. As a Ratchet and Clank fan, I enjoyed it. Because I haven't had a chance to play the game because I haven't got a latest PlayStation console, so I wasn't able to play the game.
I haven't bought the latest. It's basically apparently a redone version of the first game.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm tempted to get it.
I'd be...
If only to finally defeat the boss.
When I get an updated console, I'll definitely give it a go. There's no reason for me not to play this game. I love the hell out of Ratchet and Clank. I've enjoyed all of Ratchet and Clank. It has been a really, really great series. And I just think that the gaming industry have got it wrong in not having come out and just given it nothing but absolutely both barrel support. I'm sorry, guys. You know, progression is a thing. You can start at a play. You know, looking at this versus all of the other entries into the sphere so far, this went a lot further towards actually delivering a good movie. And so what if they made a game that was the same storyline, etc.? That just means that you got additional content if you're a gamer. If you weren't, then you got the chance to be exposed to this world. If I have one criticism of this game and of this movie, and it's only the only major criticism I've got, as I said, could do with some action pieces, would have sold it better. But my main criticism is that I think that it spends a little too much time being referential to those people who actually know the genre, rather than just spending all of its time on introducing a new audience. And I think that partly they had to do that in order to be able to get bums on seats from the existing fan base. The fact that the fan base then didn't support it, well, you know what?
You do realise that if this keeps happening, you're not going to get any movies.
Well, it just makes it harder and harder for you to sell these things in Hollywood. And I'm... Yeah, you know what? Look, it's just so frustrating to see an industry not support its own. And you know what? Ratchet and Clank has certainly... It's earned its support as far as that's gone. It's delivered a lot to its fandom. And, I think it deserved a lot more support than it got. That's all I'll say. I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. All I can say is if you've got kids, let them watch this movie because this is a hella fun movie. It is really, really good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the heck out of it. Is it the most exceptional story out there? No. But it didn't have to be. It was just the retelling of the origin of Ratchet and Clank, and it delivered the origin of Ratchet and Clank, which, frankly... in movie land, that would automatically almost get them a second movie. So, what I'm hoping is the creators do a second movie and don't listen to the naysayers.
That would be nice because I love Ratchet and Clank so much. It's such a good series.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Love this movie. Anyway, that's it for this week, Martians. We will do a on-site one. Today was just too hot. I think we made, in the other version that we did of this that got somewhat interrupted, we made the point that Kiara said to me yesterday that it was hot as Satan's butthole. And I just said that Satan probably wants his butthole back.
He really should lay off the burritos.
Well, that's the thing. Anyway, we'll be out and about because we're going to see Arrival during this
Yay.
week. So we will basically do a video review of Arrival, and we will talk the episode of the week, which is Avengers. So the actual episode that goes out this week is Avengers, but I wanted to fit in Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
So we will do Arrival and Avengers.